My name is Judy Ryan, and I'm the owner and founder of Lifework Systems, which has been around since 2002. And we're a performance management company. So what we do is we help organizations who are struggling with things like turnover, or how do they attract and keep good talent, or how do they deal with all of these changes coming about with digital transformation, or what about those millennials? Everybody's complaining about those millennials. So there's lots of business problems, and we really come in and help to bring a system so an organization can learn how to manage those kinds of business problems that are very costly using the tools and processes we bring them. So today I want to talk about a topic that almost everybody has a reaction to, and it's called redirecting negative behavior. And the reason is we all have somebody in our life who drives us a little nuts. They either make us feel annoyed, like they're kind of sucking the life out of us, or they make us feel angry and provoked, or maybe they just hurt our feelings and kind of shock us. Or sometimes they're those people that are behaving in a way where we're worried about them. And we're almost it's like we're pushing a rock up a hill because we care more about their well-being than they seem to care about. And then we also have those people when they walk in the room and you think, well, who died made you God? So usually when I even say that, a whole group go, oh yeah, I have somebody like that. So that's a topic that I think most people would be interested in knowing about. What redirecting negative behavior is it's an alternative to the way we typically respond. When you think about it, most people, they feel angry, or they feel hurt, or they feel worried, or they feel insulted, or they feel annoyed. And our typical reaction is to be harsh, withdrawing, punitive, or to just kind of turn a blind eye and hope it goes away, which is very permissive. So most people, they think if you take away punishment and you take away like inducements like carrots and trying to bribe people, and you take away permissive, what else is left? So redirect is a technique where people understand a specific type of misbehavior, what's causing it, and how to have influence on that behavior that ends up healing both parties and creating greater closeness while that misbehavior is funneled into a much better use of that energy. It is a technique, and it's very powerful, and most people have not really heard of it before. Really causes misbehavior is so core to everything that causes problems. Not only misbehavior, but a whole lot of other things that we don't even realize sometimes are happening. Misbehavior comes from feelings of inferiority. Feelings where people feel that they don't belong or have significance in their life or their work, or both. And the psychology we use is based on the work of a man named Alfred Adler. And he was the guy who coined inferiority complex. And what he basically said is, if we don't create certain conditions and conversations where people feel empowered, like that they have a voice, that they feel lovable, which is different than loved. Like one of the problems with lovable with the millennials is they don't feel like people see them or want to learn from them, and that they don't empathize. And that's what lovable is compared to loved. And people need to feel that they're connected in meaningful ways, and that they have contributions to make that people want, and that they welcome, and that they recognize. So what happens is we set up our homes and our schools and our families and our workplaces to be doing all these crazy behaviors that actually make people feel the opposite of significance and belonging. And when that happens, you could even have an employee come to work, and if they've had a bad experience with being discouraged in the traffic, in their family, or just in something that happened to them, they could show up misbehaving. And what most people do is they take it personally. They don't realize, oh, all people are discouraged. Even if they look like the arrogant guy or girl that doesn't look like they're discouraged at all. They just look like they think they're the best. So if you understand the cause of all misbehavior, you will approach it without adding more harmfulness or discouragement to people. Well, it's actually really an interesting question, but it's so much the same rules. Let's say you get an email from somebody and you're shocked and hurt. You can know they're in the goal of revenge, and you'll know how to redirect them even in the email. That's a goal where somebody's in pain and they're just striking out. And maybe they're even saying something true, like you parked in my parking spot. But if they say it real mean, it's because they're in a goal of revenge, which means they're in pain and they're stuck and ashamed in it. So your response by email would be, it sounds like something's going on for you. What's going on? I'd like to hear about it. Or if you need to talk, I'm here, because it sounds like you're a little stressed or tense or something. But if it was like I had a guy call me the other day and say, this person won't return my emails and I'm supposed to have a meeting with them and they won't even confirm whether we're having one or not. And he said he finally wrote on a subject line, I would appreciate the courtesy of an answer. And he said, I go, well, what was her reaction? And it was a one short sentence, I'm not available. And I said, well, that's because you actually played into the mistaken goal. Because what you would do is you would know that if you felt like that person was ignoring you and treating you like you were less important, and you were feeling that feeling of insult, you would say to that person, I've been so excited to meet with you. I think you have so many awesome talents. I can't get you to respond, and I want your help on that because I don't want to miss this opportunity, and I need you to give me some guidance on how I should handle this right now because we're not having communication. Like, he didn't even know why she wasn't communicating. But if he would have handled that way, and as soon as I said it to him, he goes, you know what? I know that would have worked because I have done that at times and it has worked. But what happened is he got angry and resentful, and it came across in that subject line. I'd appreciate the courtesy of a response, which is exactly the invalidation a person in that mistaken goal wants, subconsciously wants. So really, email is kind of the same. If you suspect they're in a mistaken goal, knowing how to redirect it is more likely to get you a result. And even if it doesn't get you the result you hope for, it will not cause harm because it'll just mean you're redirecting the wrong mistaken goal, and you can even try another one. So anything people do in redirect does not cause harm. It's always a harmless response. Part of the reason we react is we do think it's personal. Because they might even be saying something that's true, like you did make a mistake or something, but it's never personal. It's always about their state of discouragement. So like even that goal of significance, if somebody's redirected, they are the most awesome employee to have. When they're not, they're wreaking havoc on the team. And most people have given up on them over time. Oh, that person will never change. Oh, that person is just terrible. We just have to put up with that person. And in reality, my favorite thing to show is, oh my God, I can't believe that person is who they are now. And they're so helpful as opposed to so harmful. So I would say if somebody emails you and you feel a jolt from it, you'd probably know it was revenge and you'd know how to respond. But you can also pick up the phone because if you respond with encouragement, then it will always be more helpful than even the withdrawal we sometimes do. So sometimes we won't react at all, and that can be a form of punitive back. You would really benefit from this because then you would know, oh, that's that revenge goal, and that person must just be in some level of pain. And I could be the person to help them get past that. I remember one time my daughter, she was on a diet at the same time that I was, and she lived a couple houses down, and I knocked on her door and I said, hey, I lost 4 pounds this week. And she said, why are you always bragging? And the first feeling I had was like, I'm not bragging. What is she talking about? I hardly ever even talk about it. But I realized in that second, she was in the goal of revenge. So I said, oh, I've been bragging. That must really suck. Could you tell me more about that? Well, yeah, you act like you're doing so well and I'm not. And like you're so much better than me. And I go, well, that must be annoying. Because when you're redirecting that goal, you don't care if it's true or not true. You're just trying to get them to their pain. And then she goes on to say, well, Doug's having this big party and everybody that's going is all slim and I haven't lost my baby weight. And she starts crying about how she feels about her body. And I just pulled her in and hugged her, and she said, I don't know why I said that mean stuff about you. I didn't really mean it. You're not a braggart, and I'm proud of you. But you see how she had to lash out because she was rejecting her pain, and she tried to get me to reject her in her pain. So you have to be in a state of emotional intelligence to recognize when somebody does something to you, oh, that's one of those patterns of their discouragement. It's not anything about me. So that is why emotional intelligence is difficult, because you have to be self-aware and self-managing, aware of the other person and how to manage the relationship with them. So there's a whole bunch going on in a little bitty exchange. When we do this in projects, we don't do it the first months, because if you create a really healthy workplace culture, you have a whole lot less of things to redirect. In a way, though, you're actually enlisting your ego in service to something more true. So in a sense, I'm not against egos. I think we need to redirect egos. Like redirecting egos might be saying, I know that you're a powerful force in me, and I want to help you to use your reactions to be in service to people, because that's really more true, is that the part of us that would react is the ego part of us that's wounded, the ego part of us that's scared. Well, and you know what? Most people want to be good people, but they don't know how to do it without getting mean. First of all, people tend to treat all misbehavior as though there's a one-size-fits-all answer, and there's not. Misbehavior actually has 5 different patterns to it. And if you understand what pattern is in play, you can have a much more effective response. So I'll tell you an example. Most of us know what it feels like to have mild annoyance at someone. It might be like when a fly keeps landing on your nose and you just feel kind of annoyed. You're not seriously provoked, but you're just kind of annoyed. Well, there's a goal called the goal of attention. And in that goal, what we typically do is we say, stop it, or we might give a person a dirty look, or we might, interrupt what we're doing. That's the complete opposite of what we should be doing. So this is a quick story about a little boy named Robert. And he was, this is a true story. When I had 4 kids and a friend of mine had 3 kids. And Robert was 3, and he kept coming up when we were talking and saying, Mommy, I need water. Okay. Mommy, I need, I want to go home. Okay. And it was very frustrating to her. And she said, I don't know what to do. We're probably going to have to leave because Robert always does this. And I said, if you're open to learning this redirect, I'll show you how you could do this differently. When Robert comes in the room, hold a thought in your head that says, I know you're there and I'm so glad you're my son. And as he comes over to you, just put your hand on his shoulder with the intent of, I know you're there and I'm so glad you're there. But don't look at him and don't say anything to him. So he comes up and he starts whining and she puts her hand on him and you can see that she's very relaxed in her body and everything. But she continues to talk to me. And he kind of gets startled, like, what's up with this? And then he goes downstairs kind of bewildered, like, I don't know what just happened. And I said, now, just so you know, every time you redirect misbehavior, a person that's in that pattern will up the ante. They'll get worse before they get over it. So just expect Robert to come back in and really turn it on for you. So sure enough, he comes in and he starts really getting loud and he's pulling on her sleeve and he's trying to turn her face toward him. And she just continues to do what she's doing. In fact, she even kind of like pulls him into her arm and just kind of does this. And he finally just settles. And then he leaves and he stays gone. About 10 or 15 minutes later, she hears him laughing and playing. And she goes, why did that work? Robert never does that. And I said, because you did not give into his mistaken belief that he had to get attention to be loved. So you also taught him, the way you did that, you taught him that I don't have to be disrespected and you don't have to be disrespected. And you didn't teach him that it was okay for him to disrespect you. And that's a tough situation in work because people come to your office, they stand in your doorway, or they come over and tap a pen on your desk. And we don't know how to handle it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you physically put your hand on their shoulder, but it means that you maintain body language. You might even call them over to sit next to you, but you're making it clear in your actions, I'm not rejecting you, but I'm rejecting the interruption. Because the way I'm doing it is just to continue what I'm doing and give you some very simple signal that 5 minutes or something like that, where I'm training you out of doing that demand for undue attention. That's an example that at work and at home. A harder example is when people are in a goal called the goal of significance. It tends to be people that are very high asset, very smart, very talented, and you really can't usually fire them or get rid of them. Sometimes they're even in leadership or ownership. And what happens is their subconscious goal is to get people to invalidate them. But what they do, the way they do it is they act very superior, very critical, very entitled, and everybody does want to take them down, But if you understand that redirect, what you can say to them is, I know you've done all these wonderful things, and I would suggest that you maybe ask our group if what you're saying right now is helping the team or if there's something else you could be doing to help the team. So you're acknowledging them, you're acknowledging their assets, you're acknowledging their strengths, you're acknowledging their words, because they're going to up the ante. They're going to say, well, why do I have to do that? I know what I'm saying is important and everybody should learn it. So you'd want to mirror that. You'd want to say, so I know you think that what you have to say is really important, and it is. And I can see where you'd feel like we should just kind of get on board with that and listen. The challenge we're having is we need to feel like everybody's on the same page as a team, and we need your help with that. So you're not invalidating them, but you're inviting them to be in service rather than competition. And that's very hard to do when they're playing out their misbehavior, because we tend to want to run the other way and just go, I'm just going to ignore that person and hope they go away. But they don't. And in fact, if you give them the invalidation, it makes them worse. They become more critical, more smug, more superior, more competitive. So what a lot of people ask is, what is kind of the essence of redirect? And what it really is that you're remembering who they really are when they don't remember who they are. And as you help them break through a limiting belief, like that limiting belief might be, I'm not enough unless somebody gives me attention. Or in the other example, if they didn't need me, they wouldn't want me. So by not invalidating that person, I'm actually breaking their fearful belief. And in that, they're so relieved, and they're usually so willing to come around because you've made your awareness of their greatness more important than their own fears about themselves. And that's why when you redirect another person, you not only heal them and shift them, you heal any part of yourself that's in that belief system. If you punish them, you reinforce any part of yourself that is in that misbehavior. So that's the beauty of it. It is multi-beneficial. So what I'd really like for people to do is to contact us at info@lifeworksystems.com. You can go on our website, lifeworksystems.com, and you'll find outlines, you'll find tons of articles on redirecting negative behavior, but also a lot of other topics. But what I'd really like to be able to send people is a sample of the actual course. And that's something that I would need to send directly to them or have someone from my team send. So if they could email us at info@lifeworksystems.com, then we'll make sure to get that free sample of about 30 minutes of an online program. And we're also looking to be offering that program locally soon. The reason this is a good investment is that 16% of every 100 people is actively disengaged, meaning that they're not just disengaged, they're actually misbehaving. They're gossiping, they're negative, they're pessimistic, they're critical, they're causing a lot of negative activity, they're underperforming in a very big way. And what happens is it's been found that costs $16,000 per person per year for every 100. That's almost $300,000 a year. And what happens is, because of their misbehavior, all your top talent won't stay around in a workplace where they're tolerated, where they're not redirected. So that group, that's the fully engaged, brings about $928,000 per 100. So you're putting at risk over $1 million from the misbehaving people and all the people that'll leave that you don't want to have leave. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to share something that I believe is so needed right now in our world. And I just want to remind you, I'm Judy Ryan from Lifework Systems, and I'm here to help you if you would like to reach out and talk with me about this. Thank you.